A reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 21, beginning at the 5th verse. When some were speaking about the temple, how it was adorned with beautiful stones and gifts dedicated to God, Jesus said, "As for these things that you see, the days will come when not one stone will be left upon another. All will be thrown down." They asked him, "Teacher, when will this be? And what will be the sign that this is about to take place?" And Jesus said, "Beware that you are not led astray, for many will come in my name and say, 'I am he,' and the time is near. Do not go after them. When you hear of wars and insurrections, do not be terrified, for these things must take place first, but the end will not follow immediately." Then Jesus said to them, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, and in various places famines and plagues, and there will be dreadful portents and great signs from heaven. But before all this occurs, they will arrest you and persecute you. They will hand you over to synagogues and prisons, and you will be brought before kings and governors because of my name. This will give you an opportunity to testify. So make up your minds not to prepare your defense in advance. For I will give you words and a wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to withstand or contradict. You will be betrayed even by parents and siblings, by relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death. You will be hated by all because of my name. But not a hair of your head will perish. By your endurance, you will gain your souls." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. It was a difficult time for the people of Israel. The remnant who had remained in Jerusalem after years of exile were trying to put behind them the conflict and trauma they'd experienced under the oppression of foreign conquerors. Even though the oppressors had been replaced by leaders they recognized, their memories were deep and painful. They remembered children dying due to malnutrition. They remembered their labor being exploited to build homes for the conquerors rather than for themselves. The land felt tenuous. It felt void of feeling, void of understanding, of compassion. And the future felt uncertain, ambiguous, tentative. Where was the hope? It was a confusing time for the followers of Jesus. They were excited to be in Jesus' presence in the recently renovated temple, a temple whose renovation took 80 years to complete. And they couldn't stop admiring the white marble, the colorful linen tapestries, the gold-plated gates and doors. And suddenly, into the adoration of this incredible building came Jesus' words of warning. "As for these things that you see, the days will come when not one stone will be left upon another, and all will be thrown down." How could this be? Something so beautiful that had taken decades to create would again be destroyed? It's interesting, Jesus' followers did not ask why or how the temple would be destroyed. They simply asked when, and how would they know? As Jesus unfolded the scenario that we heard in today's gospel lesson, I wonder if behind the question of when was also a deeper question. Where is the hope? And here we are. Here we are in 21st century America, a time filled with disunity and distrust and some discontent. Poverty feels out of control. Evictions and homelessness are at an all-time high. Racism is rampant. Discrimination is a daily, if not hourly, reality. Election results, though not what some expected them to be, still reveal that we are as polarized a nation as the news reports and social media tell us every day. Gun violence increases as our trust in those who vow to keep us safe decreases. Our earth groans from the weight of natural disasters, famine, climate change, war, and political unrest. Where in God's name is the hope? Where is the hope? For the people of Israel, hope came in a vision proclaimed by the prophet Isaiah, a vision that what has gone before is finished and done. A vision that God is creating even now a new reality for them and for their children. A reality where infants will thrive, not die of malnutrition. A reality where the old will live out their lifetimes. A reality where they will build houses for their families and inhabit them. They will plant vineyards and eat the fruit. Hope comes to the people of Israel in a vision of peace. A world where the wolf and the lamb shall feed together. A world where the days of God's people will be like a tree, flowering and fruitful. And God's chosen shall long enjoy the work of their hands. Isaiah's vision, the hope offered to our ancient ancestors, is a world of unending reconciliation and joy, a world cherished by and within God's very heart. In today's gospel lesson, Jesus offers first his followers, a challenge. And then he offers them the hope of an assurance. His challenge is twofold. First, he says, look beyond the grandiosity of the temple to the realization that tough and difficult days are still to come. That voices not of God will attempt to trick you into a false sense of security. And you will face persecution because you follow me. And then the challenge deepens as Jesus encourages his followers and dares them practically to testify, to stand up to the doubters and opponents, to confront those who will hate them simply because they believe in the rabbi from Nazareth. Now comes the hope from Jesus, the assurance, also twofold. For Jesus himself assures him and assures them that he will give his followers the strength, the wisdom, even the words for their testimony. Their testimony will be a witness bold enough, according to the text, that absolutely none of their opponents will be able to withstand it or contradict it. And no matter how deep the opposition, no matter how personal the betrayal, not a hair of your head will perish. By your endurance, you will gain your souls. Hope in a vision. Hope in a challenge and in an assurance. But what about us? Where is the hope in our world today? I could just give you some personal examples. I spied hope in the number of young adults who stood with me in the 45-minute line on Tuesday to vote at the Zionsville Public Library. I heard hope on Tuesday evening here in this building as our deacons talked about Thanksgiving baskets for School 55 families, and as we worked on details for Clothe-A-Child, where we will hold hands and shop with at least 60 children from that same school, School 55. I smiled at hope during an unplanned fire drill on Wednesday when I noticed that the preschoolers, 4 and 5-year-olds, lined up without direction to see what would happen next. I felt hope when, as that unplanned drill concluded, a 3-year-old held my hand to help me get back into the building. I caught hope in the testimony last Sunday of Mike Chaperon and Ben Greenfield of Family Promise, Marion County. And I'm eager to hear in just a little while from Colin Chang of the Indianapolis Star about how we as a congregation might pursue hope for those who face eviction every day in this city with the second highest eviction rate in the country. I sense hope in the energy of this congregation every time we gather, in worship, in team meetings, on Wednesday evenings for supper and study, every time we engage in a mission project out in our community. I perceive around and among us hope for the future towards which God is calling Northminster Presbyterian Church, a future of engaging with our neighbors, ourselves, our city, and our world. As I wrestled with this sermon preparation, I kept returning again and again to the idea that hope and faith are uniquely linked, that they cannot be separated. As the writer of Hebrews says, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. How else could the people of Israel claim Isaiah's vision of hope without a deep faith in the God who had saved them from bondage and captivity, the God who had assured them again and again, I am your God and you are my people? How else could Jesus' followers confront yet another destruction of their holy space? How else could they testify to the power of the one who had fed the hungry and healed the sick without a deep faith that the Rabbi of Nazareth was sent to reveal to the world the heart of God? How do we then, as 21st century Christians, members of this community of faith, citizens of this broken world, how do we claim a hopeful future for our neighborhood, our city, our world? Friends, we do it by witnessing, even as Jesus' followers were challenged to do. We do it by witnessing boldly to what God is doing in each of our own individual lives. We do it as our session and deacons make bold and courageous decisions in leading this congregation into a future together, a future of hope. We do it together by witnessing boldly to what God hopes for God's world, that skin color and sexual orientation and economic privilege never, ever get in the way of welcome and acceptance for all of God's children. We do it by witnessing. And we witness because we have faith. We believe that the one who sends us out to engage with the world in hope is the one who will indeed give us the words and the wisdom to confront doubt, to confront disbelief, to confront mistrust. We believe in the one who will guide us every step of the way, the one who will never, ever let us go. We witness to hope, and we witness in hope because we believe. We do it by faith. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.